I never thought a single whispered comment could leave me feeling so small, embarrassed, and utterly betrayed. But that's exactly what happened at my best friend's wedding last year. My wife and I had been married for about 3 years at that point. On paper, things looked fine. We had a comfortable home, shared responsibilities, and spent weekends with friends or family. I genuinely thought our marriage was solid. I loved her, trusted her, and had never suspected she harbored doubts about us, at least not that she shared. The wedding was supposed to be a fun escape. My best friend from college was getting married, and we were invited as part of the couple's inner circle. It was a beautiful venue, an old estate with gardens, fountains, and twinkling lights. Everything felt magical. We arrived together, hand in hand, exchanging pleasantries with friends and family. I thought she seemed a bit distant, but I chalked it up to nerves about meeting some people she hadn't seen in years. The ceremony went smoothly. The vows were heartfelt, the music was perfect, and the entire day felt like a fairy tale. I was genuinely happy to be there. Then came the reception. Tables were set, guests were mingling, and the bar was open. I was chatting with some friends, when I noticed my wife leaning toward her friend, someone I barely knew, a former coworker she had stayed in touch with. I wasn't paying too much attention until I caught the words she whispered. If I could do it again. I froze. My stomach dropped. That pause, the way she whispered it only to her friend and not to me, it didn't sound like a casual comment. My mind immediately went to the worst possibilities. Her friend laughed softly, nudged her, and said something I couldn't quite hear. My wife smirked, nodded, and whispered again, I wouldn't have married him. I felt my world collapse in slow motion. My wife had just admitted to someone else, in a whispered tone meant for only them, that she regretted marrying me. The room felt like it was spinning. The music, the laughter, the clinking glasses, it all became background noise to the pounding of my heart. I didn't confront her immediately. I didn't want to make a scene at someone else's wedding. But every word, every smirk, every laugh at my expense burned like acid in my chest. I excused myself, went to the balcony to get some air, and tried to process what I had just heard. I couldn't believe it. The woman I had built a life with, the person I had trusted completely, was expressing regret about our marriage openly, even if whispered. And she had the audacity to do it at a celebration where everyone should have been joyful. I stayed on the balcony for a while, trying to calm down. My mind raced. Had she always felt this way? Was she unhappy for years? Or was this some fleeting frustration she expressed in a moment of bitterness? After gathering myself, I returned to the reception and watched her from across the room. She laughed, danced, and mingled with friends as if nothing had happened. She didn't look guilty, ashamed, or even remotely apologetic. She looked pleased with herself. That night, I barely spoke to her. I didn't want to ruin my best friend's wedding, but I couldn't pretend everything was fine. I felt betrayed, humiliated, and completely unseen. The next day, I tried to talk to her. I said calmly, I heard what you whispered last night. You said you wouldn't have married me. Why? She rolled her eyes. Oh my God, you're still upset about that? It was just a joke. I was exaggerating. Don't take everything so seriously. A joke? I asked, incredulous. You whispered it to your friend in front of the wedding party. You smirked. That doesn't feel like a joke. Her response was typical of her whenever she dismissed my feelings. You're so dramatic. Everyone makes jokes like that. You need to lighten up. I was venting. It's not that deep. But it was that deep. That moment revealed a truth I had been ignoring. She didn't respect me, didn't value my feelings, and saw our marriage as something trivial she could comment on for amusement. In the weeks that followed, I noticed patterns I had ignored before. The way she joked about my career in front of her friends, the way she minimized my achievements, the way she laughed off my concerns. The wedding was just the most blatant example. I realized then that marriage isn't just about love. It's about respect, trust, and mutual support. And if someone can openly admit regret in a setting like that, it's a sign they are not invested in the partnership in a meaningful way. Eventually, I confronted her again, laying everything out. The whisper, the smirk, the way she dismissed my feelings. She didn't apologize. She said I was too sensitive and that I needed to relax. That was the final straw. I understood that love without respect is not love. It's tolerance, convenience, or entertainment. A few months later, we separated. It was painful, humiliating, and exhausting. But it was necessary. I had to protect my sense of self, my dignity, and my emotional well-being. Now, I can reflect on that night with clarity. The whispered words were a warning. They revealed a side of her I had ignored, dismissed, or rationalized away. And while the memory still stings, it also taught me a valuable lesson. Never ignore subtle signs of disrespect, even if they come wrapped in whispers, smirks, or jokes.